Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is David Frazier, and I serve as Associate Dean for the MBA programs here at the Tippie College of Business. We're delighted to have you here with us today. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the Henry B. Tippie College of Business, I welcome our soon-to-be graduates, their families, friends, and significant others to our 2018 spring commencement. This event celebrates the great achievements of graduates from all of our Iowa MBA programs. These programs include the full-time MBA program, the professional MBA program with locations in the Quad Cities, Cedar Rapids, and Des Moines, the executive MBA program with locations in Des Moines and Iowa City, the Hong Kong MBA program, and the Chimba, Italy MBA program. The diversity of programs is a strength that allows us to touch many stakeholders, particularly in this period of persistent global change. In this regard, we offer one MBA program, the University of Iowa Master of Business Administration, in all of these locations. As you can see from the flags displayed here today, which represent the countries of origin of our new graduates, the Iowa MBA truly is an international program, and it's great to have family and friends here from around the world, along with our faculty and staff, to acknowledge the accomplishments of this year's graduates. The Iowa MBA is a family of programs united by a common vision and value proposition, dedicated to producing managers and leaders with the ability to compete in the global marketplace. Our graduates have developed functional expertise, built teamwork and leadership skills, and solidified ethical foundations that will enable them to enrich the organizations that they serve, the global business community, and society at large. At this point, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce my colleagues on the platform, and I'll ask each of you to stand as I read your name. Sarah Fisher-Gardiel, Henry B. Tippie Dean and Professor of Marketing. President Bruce Harold, the University of Iowa. Amy Christoph Brown, Senior Associate Dean, Tippie College. Laura M. Nowinski, Vice Chair of Operations for KPMG LLP, our keynote speaker for today. Jennifer Blackhurst, Professor and Faculty Director of the MBA Business Analytics Career Academy. Stephen Stong, Associate Professor, Economics. Thomas Gruca, Professor and Faculty Director of the MBA Marketing Career Academy. Amy Colbert, Professor and Departmental Executive Officer, Management and Organizations. Mark Penno, Professor, Accounting. Amrita Nain, Professor and Faculty Director of the MBA Finance Career Academy. And now staff representatives of the MBA programs. David Dyack, Assistant Dean for Full-Time MBA Program. Colleen Downey, Associate Dean of the Professional MBA Program. Don Kluber, Assistant Dean of the Executive MBA Program. Christine Ahrens, Business Director of the Business Analytics Academy. Jill Tompkins, Director of Student Services for the Full-Time MBA Program. Michelle Pontarelli, Director of the Cedar Rapids Professional MBA Program. And for our Quad Cities graduates, just previous Director of, our Professional MBA Program. Michelle has just made that transition, so I wanted to connect her to our Quad Cities folks as well. Nicole Vogt, Senior Director of the Professional MBA Program, Chelsea Hillman, Director of Quad Cities Professional MBA Program, and this is Chelsea's third week, second or third, so we're delighted to have Chelsea on board with us. And now I would like to ask Dean Gardiel to say a few words of welcome, introduce our president.
I want to start by saying I'm just a sucker for events like this. I love the ability to stop and breathe and honor amazing milestones, not only in the lives of our students, but in their families and actually in our staff and faculty here. These are wonderful moments that I just cherish. I will say this, as I'm ever seeing our students go out the door, the question I keep asking myself is, are we making sure that they are going out with the most cutting edge learning, knowledge, education that will help them be successful? That, of course, is the question that we are charged with answering here. The problem is, or the challenge is, that the world is changing so darn fast that our ability to keep up and to stay in touch with all those changes and to make sure that we're evolving our curriculum at the same pace that industry is evolving is, I think, the biggest challenge that we have. And so I do constantly keep this question, have we done enough? Are they where they need to be? So I was actually interested a couple of years back when I saw a survey that had been done by the London Business School. And they interviewed over 300 executives from 20 different countries around the world. And the question was very simple, and it was this: what do business executives need to be if they're going to be successful in the global marketplace in the coming years? So this became my report card to see, how are we doing? And the checklist that these executives came up with actually kind of went into three different buckets. So the first bucket was called knowledge, all right? And you would hope that we got this right, and I feel pretty good about this. This was kind of the toolkit, if you will: global economics, finance, strategy, decision sciences, corporate governance, marketing, technology. So I looked at that list, and you can give it a big check and feel good about it from the Tippie College of Business. The next category they called skills. To me, this is how do you move in an organization and get things done with and through other people, right? Because it's not just the toolkit, it's how you use it. And the issues there sounded like this: the ability to deal with ambiguity and uncertainty, decision-making, presentation skills, team building and teamwork, networking, collaboration. And again, I know these are things that we intentionally and thoughtfully build into the programs, and so you give it another big check there. It was actually this third category that really intrigued me. They called it attributes. I would just say they are personal attributes. These are much more about who we are as people than who we are as managers. And listen to this list: unyielding integrity, worldly awareness, thriving on change, judgment and intuition, demanding excellence, perseverance and tenacity, adaptability, responsiveness, curiosity, creativity, self-awareness, self-confidence, boundless energy to motivate and energize, and the capacity and desire to learn. I will tell you that is an extraordinary list that I very much hope we have come back to many, many times across the coursework, the classwork, the projects, what's going on in and out of class, to reinforce those things. I'm not naive enough to think that we have 100% responsibility for that, because I think there are a lot of people that are in this audience today that helped set their son or daughter or spouse, partner, brother on that path. These are traits that get wired into us all along as we're growing up. And so we inherit people with a lot of these skills, but what I hope is that we are absolutely underscoring and promoting the importance of these, because I think they're right. I think these executives are right. At the end of the day, the knowledge and the skills will get you in the door, but real success has a lot more to do with what's in your heart and your gut than what's in your head. I do know that at the end of the day, those things will probably determine not only your success, but your personal happiness. I think that they will determine your brand. I think they will determine your legacy. And I certainly think, future alums, that they'll determine what people think about the University of Iowa. So I want to say congratulations to the group. I feel really confident about what you're carrying out the door, but I hope you remember these skills and attributes not just for your success, but for the person that you want to be in life. It is now my honor to introduce President Harrell, the 21st president of the University of Iowa. Because we do this in an academic setting, I always have to start with his academic street creds, okay? So engineering BA from Purdue, good Big Ten heritage there. Masters of Business from the Harvard Business School, excellent. And along the way, he's actually taught in both the Harvard Business School and at Northwestern in their executive education programs. And so he comes to us with amazing academic background and heritage. But the thing that makes President Harrell a minority among university presidents is the industry experience that he brings as well. And along the way, he has had stints at Boston Market, the Boston Consulting Group, IBM, Kraft Foods. In fact, his career has been in industry with one foot in academics. What a gift that has been to us. It's not unusual for academics to consult with industry, but it's quite another thing for someone from industry to come in and consult with academics. And what I want to say about President Harrell, I'm going to just draw this out while you're standing there, is that he came into this campus almost 3 years ago now and fully embraced who we are. The DNA of academics, our traditions, our values, our really quirky ways of getting things done as an organization. But he has also then brought to us I think the really critical need, especially at this time in higher education, to think strategically about what's going on in our world, to look at the financial underpinnings of our institution and how those need to change, and to encourage us to grow and change and bring some really great discipline to that. So I think we're really, really very fortunate. I also have to say that these couple of days around here are full of graduation and commencement events, and it's kind of luck of the draw who shows up for any particular commencement ceremony. We are very fortunate today to have President Bruce Harrell, the 21st president of the University of Iowa.
Lord. Oh my goodness, thank you very much, Dean Gardiel. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today on this very momentous occasion. I'm almost embarrassed to say that my introduction may be a little longer than my comments, but that's probably fine with many of you so we can get on with this ceremony. These are very special times. I would just like to pass on to my soon-to-be fellow MBAs a couple of comments and advice that I hope will resonate. First, remember that you didn't get here alone. I think, and in fact, I probably know, that each of you wouldn't be here just with your own efforts. MBA programs are pretty tough, maybe very tough. And there are friends, families, spouses that got you here. And if you don't mind, fellow almost-to-be MBAs, would you mind rising and thanking many of these people that helped get you there? For those of you in the audience, this is about the last time they will ever take instruction well. Thank you. And then the second piece of advice is always remember that. You're going to find others that will be in your shoes. Life is all about helping others. We can get all wrapped up in our careers. We can get all wrapped up in the issues of the day. But never, ever forget how these people helped you. And look for those people along your way. Pause and help them. You'll make our world a much better place. Thirdly, I would suggest we have a world where people say it's this or it's that. Don't fall into that trap. Be an end leader. I have so many people ask me over the years, do you want me to focus on short-term or long-term? And my answer is yes. Do you want me to focus on profits or growth? The answer is yes. Don't fall into the traps of artificial comparisons. You're now in the big leagues, colleagues, and you need to get them both done, or in some cases, 3 or 4 things at once done. That's what it's all about. But if you have to choose between short-term and long-term, please, please focus on your institution's long-term. We have too many people in this country that are all focused on right now and quick payoffs. Focus on your institution and what the priorities are for the long term. Whatever you do, make sure whatever institution you join, you leave it better off when you leave. I would also suggest that you avoid simple solutions to complex problems. I can't tell you how often I turn on the TV almost every night, and I'm listening to these debates on huge issues in our society. We have massive healthcare issues. We have major issues in the funding, particularly of public higher education, K through 12. And the list goes on and on. Foreign policy issues. And people are on that TV in the evening giving very simple, what sounds like really good advice, because it's short and punchy. That also is a trap. We live in complex times. It requires complex analysis. Don't just stop at the first derivative. Go to the second and third, and think about the consequences of your simple answers in the long term. Deal with the complexity. Embrace the complexity. Finally, I would encourage you to please understand that organizations, and I believe people, don't stay where they are in this world. You're going to either be going down or you're going up. That says you need to continually go up. Raise the bar. Don't get comfortable with where you are. The reason you're here is because you wanted to raise yourself up in this world. And you came to us to get a new dose of knowledge to help you do that. Don't ever stop that journey. Don't let your organization get complacent. There is a reason why athletic teams don't stay on top, because they get arrogant and they fall down. Same thing happens to people and institutions. Continue to raise the bar. Finally, thank you ever so much for being a part of our community. You have made a huge difference here. Just being here and being associated not only in class, but a very large portion of your life with us is not in the classroom. It's in our community. You've made it more vibrant, more special. There's a piece of you here that will always be with us. There are 3 things that you can never take away. One is your new knowledge. Secondly, our pride in your achievements. And thirdly, from this moment forth, you are a University of Iowa alumnus. And never forget, hawks do one thing. They soar. Go soar. Make a difference in the world. Congratulations. All the best wishes.
At the beginning of this ceremony, Dean Frazier introduced faculty, staff, leaders of this institution, a whole lot of people who come together to deliver what we do on this campus. I also need to tell you that we cannot do what we do in the Tippie College of Business without our alums. They are amazing, engaged people. They have gone out across the state, across this country, and around the world to do unbelievable things, and then they come back and connect with us and say, what can I do? They are one of the reasons that we stay relevant. They are one of the reasons that we continue to do remarkable things educationally, because they keep us completely tied in to what's going on with industry. As a dean, I will tell you the easiest part of my job is to ask an alum to do something for the college, because the answer is always yes. So I'm here to introduce one of our alums who has said yes in so many ways. Laura M. Nowinski is the Vice Chair of Operations for KPMG LLP. In that responsibility, she is over technology, including digital transformation, the data strategy, technology operations, and security, as well as financial matters encompassing forecasting, planning, and monitoring the execution of the firm's financial performance. In addition, she oversees KPMG's operation areas such as pension investments, real estate, office operations, and internal audit. A member of the KPMG U.S. Management Committee, she also serves as the Chief Operating Officer for KPMG's Americas region, helping to ensure KPMG's international network of member firms effectively deliver services to clients in North America, Central and South America. During her 30-year career, she has had extensive experience serving multinational Fortune 500 companies and led multidisciplinary client service teams across the U.S. and around the world. Through her work, Laura is recognized for her knowledge and insight on operational, tax, and performance development strategies. She and her husband, Dave, live in Bloomington, Minnesota, and they have 2 sons. I'm also proud to say that she is a member of the advisory board for the Tippie College of Business, and when I called her and asked her if she would be here to deliver this commencement address, she said yes. Thank you, Laura. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Laura Nowinski.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for that wonderful introduction. I'm so very pleased to be here today. And congratulations on this very special day to you and to President Harold, Dean Frazier, and other members of the faculty and staff, and your family members and friends. Most of all, though, congratulations to you. You know, the MBA graduating class of 2018, best looking class I've ever seen. It's an incredible achievement for you, our graduates, and for those that have supported you along the way, as President Harold said. With their help and your hard work, you have earned the privilege of graduating from one of the top MBA programs in the country. You know, the professional MBA program at Tippie moved up 16 places to number 22 this year in U.S. News and World Report's list, the highest ever. Congratulations to all of you on that. And Tippie excels in so many other ways, including our commitment to diversity, sustainability, and as you saw in many of the clips in the video on the way in, to community service. These are all areas that resonate with me as a KPMG leader and in my own work, in my own communities. So as one of TIPI's 50,000 alumni, I couldn't be more proud of my alma mater and the faculty, administrators, and students who make this place so very special. And as Sarah mentioned, as a member of the TIPI Advisory Board, where I get to work with Sarah and so many of the dedicated friends and alumni of the University of Iowa, I've been gratified to witness many changes, including the additions of new courses, new programs, new faculty, and beautiful new physical space since I graduated from Iowa in 1987. While many things have changed in the last 30 years, what has not changed is the school's commitment to excellence and community and purpose, and how those values have influenced the stories of all of us, influenced the stories that each of us are living and leaving as our legacy. So I'd like to spend just a few minutes sharing my story and some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, and I humbly hope that my experiences might help influence your own journey as you continue during your professional career. So most of you know the story about Henry B. Tippie, how he grew up on a farm near Belle Plaine, how he began his education in a one-room schoolhouse, and how his generosity helped make this school the wonderful institution that it is today. Well, I grew up in Eldridge, Iowa. I didn't attend a one-room school, but like Henry Tippie, the University of Iowa, family, and a little bit of farming played a major role in my background as well, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that in a few minutes. But first, let me briefly describe how I came to my current role at KPMG. I joined KPMG, now a $28 billion global audit, tax, and advisory firm, as a tax associate, just after graduating with my accounting degree from the University of Iowa over 30 years ago. And then after getting my master's at the University of Minnesota, and while still working at KPMG, I taught the mergers and acquisitions class at the U of M for 3 years to MBT and law students there in the evenings. And I will tell you that teaching that course was the hardest professional thing I have ever done. So I offer my very humble, but sincere appreciation to the faculty members here today, and to my parents, who are also both University of Iowa alumni and educators, and who are also here today. I have tremendous respect for what you do. So over the years, I became a tax partner at KPMG, and I served wonderful clients who taught me so much. Clients like Cargill, Wells Fargo, Land O'Lakes. It was a fantastic, rich client service career. I went on to lead KPMG's tax practice locally in Minneapolis, and then regionally across the western side of the country. And I was asked to serve as the national managing partner of our $3 billion tax practice here in the US. As Dean Gardiel mentioned in her introduction, I'm now the Chief Operating Officer of the Americas region, and I'm a member of the management committee of our firm, which is focused on guiding our firm's vision and strategy and execution. Sarah already mentioned all the aspects of operations that I'm in charge of, and so you ask, what gave me the courage to take responsibility for areas 3 years ago that I frankly knew nothing about? Technology, treasury, pensions, cybersecurity. Very scary place to be playing right now, by the way, and our digital and data transformation. Well, I think about two things. I think about risk-taking and bike riding. Bike riding, yeah. I'll get to that in a second. So being willing to take risks is critical to finding and being your very best. Kind of like my journey into and then out of teaching at the university level. It was a risk. And bike riding. Have any of you ever ridden on RAGBRAI? Any? Oh, come on. So I did it 3 times, and one of the years I actually wore those fancy shoes that clip into the pedals of the bike. You know, it's quite easy to stay balanced on that bike when it's moving forward. But if you stop, flop, crash. And you need to push forward. The need to push forward is even more true if you're going up a really steep hill, which you will actually find a lot of if you ride your bike all the way across the state. I found several. So this notion of keeping moving forward, President Harold kind of touched on it in his remarks. This point about moving forward is so true when you're taking on the biggest challenges in your career and life. Don't stop. Keep pushing. Especially don't stop with your toes clipped in your pedals. Well, when I think of how my business career began, I don't actually think first of KPMG, where I've spent 31 years. I think of my earliest business experience as being hatched in the cornfields in Iowa. Going back nearly 40 years ago, my focus and the challenges in front of me were about getting to and paying for college. And I learned lessons then that I lean on today, many of which track with the lessons that Sarah mentioned and highlighted earlier. So I'm sure that many of you here today are familiar with the company Pioneer, the business of seed corn, and the summer job of detasseling corn that has kept many Iowa teenagers busy over the years. Well, detasseling corn taught me the most basic and important business lessons. My first lesson was about how to work hard and really care about what we were doing, to work with purpose. During the first summer of detasseling corn, I worked really hard. I realized it was important to know and to care about what I was doing. I was 14, and I learned about the science and the business of seed corn. Pollination, male and female plants, the price sensitivities of a less than pure field of corn. Our goal was to deliver a clean field to that farmer. And at the age of 14, I developed a sense of purpose about doing my job and doing it well and delivering at my highest. You know, today, my sense of purpose also includes delivering my very best self to my family, my husband and my 2 sons. That's not always easy with a busy job, but I found that investing at the right times and in the right ways in my family and in my community and in my career have made me a better wife, mom, daughter, member of our community, and a better professional. And you know that when you're doing the things that you love, when you love what you're doing, life may not at any one point in time be in balance. Might not be in perfect balance, but your life will be wonderfully rich and full and purpose-filled when you're doing the things that you love. So during the next few years of detasseling corn, I took on increasing amounts of responsibility, contracting directly with Pioneer instead of working on the crew, and eventually starting my own business, hiring my own workers by the age of 16. And I received an enormous amount of help. While I was learning to be independent and take risks and pushing beyond some of my own comfort zones, my parents helped me in so many ways. From advice to encouragement, hours in the cornfield with me when I got behind, giving me nourishment in the middle and the end of long days. They even talked my little sister into helping. She's also a Hawkeye. She probably learned a lot in the fields as well. So my parents were helping me save for college, sure, but most importantly, they were teaching me about servant leadership. Mahatma Gandhi famously said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. His words continue to ring true to me today, and they echo again what you heard earlier from President Harold. For years at KPMG, I have worked for people and had mentors who were servant leaders. And I have found my greatest professional success at the times when I'm completely immersed in helping those on my teams be the best and bring the best and bring their very best every day, not just to their work, but to their communities and their families. So my cornfield lessons, those that have helped me 30 years long, are simple. Work hard and passionately, find purpose in what you do, take risks, and be servant leader who finds success in the success of others. So in closing, you know, we've touched on the Tippy story, its rich history, national recognition for excellence, its commitment to our community. And I've told you my story, from the cornfields in Iowa to my career at KPMG. And I encourage you to think about each of your stories. how you're going to continue the stories and the journey that you're on, and how it's going to be made better by this fantastic Iowa experience. I hope that you find purpose in all that you do, and that you will always be guided by your values. And as you craft your story, work hard and with passion. Take risks. And be sure to reach in and lift others up. I guarantee that will be the most rewarding part of your journey. At the end of our day, our actions and our decisions help us discover our authentic selves, and they create the narrative of our own unique story. And the true power of a story is how we bring it to life, not just for ourselves, but for others. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
And now for the good stuff. Okay, President Harold, would you please join me at this time? And will the candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration please rise? President Harold, these candidates, having completed all the requirements of the degree Master of Business Administration, are recommended to you by the faculty of the Henry B. Tippie College of Business for the conferring of this degree.
On recommendation of the faculty of the Henry B. Tippie College of Business, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree Master of Business Administration as qualified and designated. Congratulations.
You may be seated. The graduates will now be introduced individually by David Dyack.
As our graduates are introduced today, you will notice that some are wearing gold cords on their robes. These cords identify those graduates whose high level of academic achievement in the MBA program has earned the distinction of graduating with distinction. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the Tippie College of Business MBA class of 2018. Families and friends, your applause and cheers are encouraged. This is a great time for celebration. Jacqueline Ons. Bryce Abink. Pranay Agarwal. Catherine Allen. Courtney Althoff. Kriti Anand. Andrew Kyle Augustine. Gonzalo Biden. Rick Ballinger. Daniel Bangs. Wendy Sue Batchelder. Sharon Beck. Dennis Beckley. Gregory Bell. Love Bagrari. Robin Bourret. Carl Bogda. Jagadeeshbabu Boggarapu. Kelly Bolkema. Tom Brandau. Curtis Braverman. Emily Butler. Umar Butt. Melanie Campbell. Andrew Carlberg. Siddhanta Chandra. Chip Sean. Hayle Cho. Christina Clair. Brooke Cook. Dana Cooney. Leigh Cooper. Paul Corson. Elizabeth Cox. Dustin Joseph Curran. Miriam de Diaz Woodward. Deborah DellaBetta-Elliott. Kristi Dillon. Yash Dexit. Michaela Donaldson. Travis Eichelberger. Ben Ertl. Carlos Fernandez Silva. Kyle Fitzpatrick. Greg Foote. Nicholas Franceschi. Andrew Fromm. Emily Jean First. Adam Gallmeyer. Jihao Gan. Matt Giles. Trevor Gingrich. Ben Gipple. Mathias Gran. Amber Grow. Tyler Groves. Jennifer Haynes. Charles Willie Harris III. Heather Heim. Travis Heimbach. Katie Hillier. Garrick Heimbaugh. Benjamin Yelmas. Carl John Hobart. Holly Jean Hobbs. Marvin Holmes-Leopold. Emily Hubbard. Dyrk Huffman. Morgan Huth. Timothy Jackson. Sajal Jain. Aric Jensen. Andrew Johns. Eleanore Johnson. Sarah D. Johnson. Ryan Johnstone. Apareo Kalimira Iti. Adithya Kambampati. Ilangovan Kansami Shan Mugam. Vishal Kanan Kara. Alexandria Karei. Thamil Karuppannan. Kunal Kishore. Cody Kissel. Daniel Kosin. Punkim Kutecha. Christopher Corey. Jasmina Kovacevic. Nicole Krajnovich. Lisa Criley. Brad Kroll. Cody James Krueger. Dustin Krueger. Saurabh Kumar. Andrew Latarte. Rivan Lobo. Wendy Loving. Chris Ludwig. Craig Ludwig. Seth Lynch. Anton Malin. Karthik Raprabhu Marapan. Ryan May. Marty David Menson. David Meyer. David Miller. Jade Miner. Ashutosh Mishra. Josh Monroe. Brittany Montgomery. Philip Moorhead. Prabhu Muthu Sami. Marin Myers. Juhi Narang. Talha Nashad. Bhumika Nayak. Matthew Nelson. Kelly Nunn. Anthony Ogbayuna. Ravi Pamarti. Pashupati Nath Pandey. Vinisha Patnam. Nick Patrum. Matthew Peeling. Jonathan Petlin. Whitney Pino. James Pitcher. Venkat Ravichandran. Monica Trigo Rios. Abigail Rock. Dina Rose. Abigail Rustioni. Chris Sankett. Anurag Sataje. Evan Saunders. Savannah Schott. Caleb Schultz. Ross Shawaki. Josh Chefchik. Gaurav Shirma. Shital Shilatri. Jane Simpson. William Singlinger. Venkata Shishley. Gabrielle Smith. Jennifer Smith. Andrew Smock. Zachary Stalin. Dr. Edward Jason Stanek. Bernie Stone. Karthik Subramanian. Vineeth Vijay. Justin Svensson. Smitha Thatankande. Jake Thomas. Matthew Thompson. Terry Robert Thompson. Umesh Tal. Nolan Toot. Douglas Amel. Andre Wimar. John Van Horn. Gabriel Villarina. Betsy Vold. Erica Voyek. Brock Wagner. Stephen Ware. Ben Warren. Jedediah Wendell. Eric West. Carol Wooten. Summer Wright. Sandeep Yadav. Song Pin Ye. Andrew Young.
I'd like to give the last of our graduates just a couple of minutes to wrap up photos that they're actually getting taken backstage as well. And during that time, I'd like to do a couple of things. Number one, would like to thank all of the staff and faculty who have had such a part of the lives of these students over the last so many years. So thank you all for your parts. And I want to say a particular thanks to my graduate management programs staff who did so much in terms of planning and operating this event today, with a special thanks to Mindy Redlinger, who is my administrative assistant. And everyone knows what tomorrow is. So we'd like all of the mothers in the audience and on the platform to stand to be recognized. And I think we have all of our graduates back. So one more time, audience, join me in congratulating our MBA class of 2018. Graduates, I would like to offer my heartfelt congratulations to you and welcome you to the ranks of Iowa MBA alumni. From Iowa throughout North America to Asia and across continental Europe, Africa, and Latin America, our alumni are making a difference in the world of business and society at large. As you go forward along paths followed by so many Tippie alumni, remember what you have learned and experienced here at the Tippie College and use your knowledge with integrity. Samuel Johnson, the 18th century English poet, essayist, and moralist said, "Integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, and knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful." So, in all you do, please maintain your personal and professional integrity and make us and yourselves proud in that humble Iowa way. Despite the uncertainty that surrounds us in this time of economic, political, and technological challenges, many exciting opportunities are open to you, and I have no doubt that all of you will achieve great success in your chosen careers. Remember that wherever you choose to go, the resources of the Tippie College will be at your disposal, and the Tippie family will be behind you. We are indeed very proud to add you to the worldwide Tippie alumni family. Again, congratulations. I would like to once again thank our speaker, Laura Nowinski, for her inspiring comments. Laura, will you please join me at the podium? You don't have to speak again, but we would like to present you with this, our expression of our appreciation. Thank you. As we wrap up this wonderful ceremony and leave the auditorium today, I would ask that the audience please remain seated as the platform, party, and graduates leave. We want to thank you for celebrating with us, and as a reminder, we will have a dessert reception out on levels 1 and 2, so please feel free to indulge in a sweet or two. However, we ask that you make it fairly quick because there's another ceremony in here a bit later today, and we need to clear the building to allow the staff to reset for the next ceremony. But if you're out of here by 3:15, we're good. So enjoy the remainder of your day, and thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful celebration.